Joining us now, LA Courtroom sketch artist Mona Edwards. She sketched everyone from Michael Jackson to O.J. Simpson to Lindsay Lohan. Wow.
Mona, do you agree with Jane Rosenberg that it's easier to sketch ugly people?
Maybe she was just mesmerized by his beauty.
Probably. She was blown away by his looks. No, what's easier is to draw someone who has a landmark, something like bushy eyebrows or a great nose or a beard. Things like that are easy. But I don't think it has anything to do if someone is better looking or not so good looking.
What about the time? Because she said essentially if she had more time to do this.
He would have been handsome.
As a courtroom artist, I don't know whether I have 5 minutes or 5 hours. So I always figure that I have 5 minutes. So to say that if I had more time, I would have made him better looking, it's kind of crazy. So I always work very quickly and tell the story as fast as I can.
So let's look at some of your courtroom sketches, because you brought up there's a distinct difference between East Coast courtroom sketches and West Coast courtroom sketches.
Absolutely.
So maybe we can hold up one of yours.
All right. Well, here's an early Lindsay Lohan.
We have been to many of these.
Oh, yes, we have.
Yeah.
I was probably here with you.
And probably in about 5 different courthouses.
I mean, talk about making people look less attractive. She actually looks stunning in this courtroom sketch.
She happens to be gorgeous.
Yeah,
she's
and
very beautiful.
I'm surprised by the detail. I mean, you say you do this in just a couple of minutes, but even in the face, the expressions.
Yeah, but Bob, I'm a fashion illustrator too, so it's all about the fashion.
Fashion-like, yeah.
Nobody cares what they've done.
It's
all about how they look.
But you said this was all about telling a story too.
It's telling a story, and the line work is very loose. I don't put in 25 people in a drawing. I put in the most important.
This is when Lindsay broke down.
This is when she was with her lawyer.
So that's what you're talking about.
And then she was arrested.
You got the red soles on the shoe.
I got the Louboutin shoes.
And I mean, even like the courtroom, they're like aggressively pushing
turning her around.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's capturing very quickly what is going on in the courtroom. Now, I do remember that the artist said that Tom Brady was looking at his cell phone during the whole proceedings.
Right.
What I would have done is I would have drawn him looking at the cell phone, that he wasn't looking at the proceedings, he was on the cell, tweeting or whatever.
Where you're paying attention. Has anyone that you've drawn ever criticized or been upset with how they looked? It's got to happen.
Okay, I'll tell you what they do, and it's mostly the men.
Oh,
it's not interesting. They want to be taller, thinner, more hair. The women are fine.
More hair? Oh, more hair.
They want to have hair.
Yeah.
So a couple of times
So
I've drawn a pompadour just on
And,
purpose.
and literally the guy comes over and goes, can you give me a little bit more hair?
They do. Can you
No
take off-
way.
I'm telling you, that's
Are
what
you
they do.
kidding me?
I'm not kidding. That's what they do.
So the difference between this, because this is ink and what
Pen
do
and
you
ink
use?
and marker, and it's on vellum paper. Here's Michael Jackson.
Oh, Michael Jackson.
This was during the molestation
case.
trial up in Santa Maria.
Right. So what I do is just this pen just kind of goes over the vellum paper, and I use my fingers to smear the marker and just to move it around. And the East Coast, it's so heavy. It's pastel and chalk, and it's dusty and it's dirty. I don't know.
That seems incredibly messy in a courtroom.
It's very messy, and they work very large. I work very small.
I've seen them at work.
Yes.
I worked in New York and watched the Shepherd sisters, mother and daughter. Yeah, and they work together, but they have huge boards. Their hands are filthy.
That's right. I know.
And they finish the sketch as they're outside.
I don't know what they're thinking.
Is that by choice, though, that each artist uses their own medium?
Everybody chooses their own equipment, and I'm pretty much my own art director. I decide what I'm going to draw. I decide who I'm going to draw and at what pose.
Now, let me ask you this. If you weren't a Michael Jackson fan, if you hated Lindsay Lohan's movies, do you think your own personal bias comes into your drawings ever?
No. I try and be very objective in my drawing. Maybe a little bit of color in the background. If I'm angry or something, I'll put in some red, or if it's sad, I'll put in some blue. But no, I mean, I'm there to tell the story, to document the history of that time and that day, so I have to keep all my personal feelings to myself.
It's interesting because these are sort of historical in a way.
They are.
Like this is Judge Ito.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the interesting thing on this one, it's not just the O.J. trial, but that he collected hourglasses. And by the end of the trial, there were about 50 hourglasses on his desk.
It really conveys the boredom.
Yeah, well.
It was a long trial.
Yes, it was. Many months.
Mona Edwards, thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Your book is, by the way,
Captured. Inside the World of Celebrity Trials.
Fascinating. I'm glad we're shining a light on the hard work you
yes, the neurotic world of